Hello and welcome back to another Algebra 2 lesson with me, Mr. Lambright. Mr. Austin will be popping in at some point, but today I'm going to take care of slope and rate of change. So the most common definition of slope is rise over run. That is the amount that a line goes up and down over the amount that a line goes left and right. In future classes, you might see that described as delta y, which means the change in y, the change in the vertical, over delta x. And then we're also going to have a formula. It's on your notes, so I'm going to give it to you right now. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Although we only need to do that when it's not obvious from the graph. You do only need 2 points to draw a line, although sometimes we will ask you to use more than 2 in the future. So now we're going to graph some points. We're going to graph 3, 2, which is right 3, up 2, and then -1, -1, left 1, down 1, and we're going to graph the line. So we said that the definition of slope was rise over run, which is the amount of vertical change over the amount of horizontal change between points. So I'm going to draw my little slope triangle in, and I always do it from left to right because it just makes things easier for me. That's up to you. And we're saying this thing went right 4, and it went up 3. So the rise was 3, up 3. Up is positive. The run was right 4. Right is positive. So the slope is 3/4. That fraction is already reduced. Don't have to do anything extra. That problem is actually done right there the way it is. Let's do another one that's already graphed for us. Lots of points to choose from. I would say pick 2. Maybe these 2. And we're going to go from left to right again. This is right 2, up 1. So rise over run. The rise was 1. The run was 2. 1/2 is a reduced fraction. I don't have to do anything else. This problem is done. You can tell this used to be in color, but we are going to do these problems based on the labels on the notes. Let's start with the black line. We've got a slope triangle here. That is right 1 and up 3. The vertical is the rise, right? So that is 3 over 1. And that reduces down to 3. On the red line, we have, let's pick these 2 points maybe. Right 1, up 1. The rise was 1. The run was 1. 1 over 1 reduces to 1. And for the blue line, we've got something else going on. This is going from left to right, down 1, right 2. So with the rise over run, down is -1, and right is +2, and it's a reduced fraction already, -1/2. Looking at the green and orange lines, we've got some vertical and horizontal stuff going on. The orange line is horizontal. This is rising 0 and running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the rise was 0, the run was 5. 0 divided by 5 is 0. But the green line, we're going to have some issues here because it doesn't matter what point we pick, we're going to have, even if we pick these 2, the rise would be 4, but the run would be 0, and anything divided by 0 is undefined. So that is a rule we need to make for ourselves. Horizontal lines have 0 slope. Vertical lines have undefined slope. So to draw a line, I just need the slope and one other point that the line goes through. one other point. So it says this line goes through -2, -1, left 2, down 1. And the slope is 1/3. Remember, that's the rise and the run. Up 1, right 3. Up 1, right 3. Technically, you only need 2 points, but I wanted to fill in more so I could get my line right. And my last step was to draw the line. That problem is done. So let's graph a couple more lines like that. We've got the black line, which is going to be dark blue. It says 1, 0. That is right 1, up 0. And then the slope is 2/3. That is up 2, right 3. Up 2, right 3. And we can also graph lines like this by reversing both of them at the same time. Down 2, left 3. Down 2, left 3. And you see how that keeps the line up. Down 2, left 3. You know you're doing it wrong if it's not making a straight line. And I'm going to connect those with a line. The next one starts at the point -2, 4. That's left 2, up 4. Red line's going to be orange here. And for this slope, we've got -3 over 1. That means the negative says down instead of up. Still going to go to the right because the 1 is positive. So, down 3, right 1. Down 3, right 1. Down 3, right 1. And if I were to go backwards, it would be up 3, left 1. And draw your line. And then we have the blue line, which says we are going to start at the point right 2, up 3, and the slope is up 1, right 1. And that is just this little slope here. That's all I'm going to put for points. And we are going to draw a line straight through all of those points. And we're done. So now, I skipped a couple of problems from your notes because they're more slope triangle problems. Please check those out. But we need to move on to the slope formula. And that is the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 using 2 points from the line. So the way we've always done this in the past, and we'll continue to do it, is the first step is to label your points. They're always in XY order. So we've got X1, Y1. And then the other point will be X2, Y2. So using that formula, we know M equals Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. Y2 is 4. That minus stays. That minus is part of the problem. Y1 is 2 over x2, 6 minus x1, 1. So we will do 4 minus 2, which is 2. 6 minus 1, which is 5. 2/5 is our slope. It does not need to be reduced. It is already reduced, and we are done. Let's run through a few problems using that formula. So, step 1, always label your points. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. And going into the formula, Y2 is first, -15. The minus from the problem goes in. Then, Y1 is negative, so we have the negative there. We'll deal with that in a minute. Over X2, -7, minus from the problem, 19. So in our next step, we're going to take care of business. Minus minus right here is a plus sign because they cancel out. They form the plus sign. -15 plus 16 is 1. -7 minus 19 is -26. So the answer is the fraction -1/26. That fraction is reduced, so we are done. We're going to label again x1, y1, x2, y2. In our slope formula, y2 comes first, -7, minus, then we have another negative for the -19, over -2 minus 1. -7 minus a negative, so we got plus. -7 plus 19 is the number 12. -2 minus 1 is -3. And then this one does reduce. 12 divided by -3 is -4. I apologize for the very excited dog in the background. 2 more times. If you want, you could pause the video and try them yourself, and then check them with me while the video plays afterward, or you can follow along with me right now. Let's get started on number 3. Starting with the label x1, y1, x2, y2. In the formula, y2 is first, -4 minus 7. The minus is from the problem. x2 is -6, minus from the problem, then -4 because it's already negative. We will deal with that. We've got -4 minus 7, which is -11. And then we've got this plus sign going on. -6 plus 4 is -2. And then finally, another thing we can reduce is the negatives. Negative divided by negative is positive. So the next one is, get a label, x1, y1, x2, y2. And y2 is 16, minus y1, which is 8. x2 is 9, minus x1, which is 20. Next thing we do, 16 minus 8 is 8. 9 minus 20 is -11. So m equals -8 elevenths. The fraction -8 elevenths. Finally, just a brief introduction to parallel and perpendicular lines. You probably talked about them briefly in geometry, but we are going to be using information about parallel and perpendicular lines to write equations of new lines here in about 2 lessons. Parallel lines have the same slope. They are going in the same direction. They will never cross each other. That's what parallel means. And then perpendicular lines, they cross at exactly 90 degrees. They have negative reciprocal slopes. So, negative reciprocal means if the first slope is 2/3, they're both positive. The reciprocal means you flip it, and negative means you make it negative. If it was negative to begin with, you'd make it positive. We are absolutely going to be doing that here in 2 lessons. Just keep that in mind. It's introduced here, so it's not a surprise later. Parallel lines have the same slope, and perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. They are flipped, and the sign is changed. That is where we're going to end today. You have an assignment. It is on Canvas. It is about finding slope from various methods. Good luck. If you are stuck, please message your teacher, and we will get back to you as soon as we can.